this is kind of an interesting quote. I'm going to share the screen on this one. This is an interesting quote from a guy that I love listening to talk football. Wait a second. Maybe
We
that's
talking Greg Cosell?
Yeah, I had the Cosell, but now I've lost it. Wait, there it is.
It's one of these sons of bitches.
There
Hey,
it
there's
is.
us.
There it is. There we are.
And again,
Here
what station would this be on? I'm not familiar with their work.
What's that?
I'm not familiar with this work of
these two guys.
957 the game. Huh.
Here's Greg Cosell.
Greg, I got a little curveball for you because with what happened to Brandon Ayuk last week, I'm personally interested in the 49ers getting into the very active wide receiver market. You saw DeAndre Hopkins go to the Chiefs today. What are your thoughts on Deontay Johnson as a player and how he would fit into what Kyle Shanahan does?
Well, I mean, he's a quickness receiver, more than a speed receiver. He would probably, just with his traits fit well. But, again, I don't know if they're looking for a receiver. They just got Pearsall back, and I thought Pearsall running routes looked pretty juicy this week. So he's only going to get better. What that means in terms of production, no one can answer that. But I thought he looked pretty quick running routes. Plus, he's got some physicality to him. There were a couple of times he was pressed, and he ran through the press. So I'm really anxious to see him play more, which he will, obviously, because Ayuk's not there. Do you guys have any sense of Debo status this week?
He's out of the hospital, which is good news.
Yeah, and Kyle Shanahan sounded like he was maybe a little bit better than 50-50. That was just kind of our guess.
Right, and of course, he's still got 2 more days, so we'll see what happens. But, again, then you get into a system that has a lot of parts to it, and I don't know Deontay Johnson at all, but the system has a lot of parts. Is he a guy that's going to come in and be able to play at a high level right away, which, you would think is not likely just because he's got some athletic traits doesn't automatically mean he's going to step right in and be a really good player. And it's always easy to say, let's get another guy, but it's the middle of the season. That sometimes is not as easy as everybody thinks.
What do you think? I mean, kind of some interesting comments there about Pearsall. Pearsall only got 1.9 yards of separation on average in that game against Kansas City. So
that's on targets, though. I mean,
that's on target.
Yeah, the separation score is always on targets. The tape showed a lot like with Ayuk in the early weeks. Like it wasn't perfect, and he was getting jammed and knocked off of his route a lot late in the game. And you could just see he was gassed. He was just gassed. He should have been out there for 10 to 15 snaps, and he's out there for 45, and it's hot, and it's the goddamn Kansas City Chiefs, and they're just punching him in the chin every snap. And you could just see him be like, God damn, the NFL is hard. But early on, when he was in there, because Debo pulled out like after 2 snaps, he was getting a lot of good looks. Now, is that automatically turn into, hey, Dallas is coming, Pearsall's going for $142? Probably not. The guy got like 7 practices in training camp because of his shoulder, and then gets shot, then shows up. The only reason he's playing is because the team was so goddamn injured and they knew it was going to be press man-to-man. And the reason they drafted the guy in Pearsall is because they saw on tape, rightly, which is what I saw, they probably saw it better than I did. In fact, I know they did. And everyone who, I'm not purporting myself to be excellent at this, but like, if I can see that Ricky Pearsall can beat man-to-man at the college level, you bet your ass the actual NFL coaches can see it too. And they brought him in because they knew that teams were going to do the Kansas City model and that they needed, besides Ayuk and besides Kittle and besides Jennings, who's good in off man, but is so often getting pressed just because he's slow 5 yards away from the line of scrimmage, they needed another guy who can win off the line of scrimmage as to replace Devo and give them another look. And that's also a big reason why I think that the Niners offense was more spread out to start the season, because they expected to have more man-to-man beaters on the outside. And then it turns out we got to play Deebo everything because we don't trust Cowing to run the system yet. From just what you can tell, they weren't giving him any reps. And then Pearsall was injured. And so I think they expected to use those guys more to spell Deebo, bring in Deebo on more obvious zone downs, but then be able to play the man-to-man guys at Z or flanker when it was more obvious man-to-man stuff. And so that's a Kyle Shanahan ideologue issue in not adapting to the circumstances or his personnel. I will say this, to go back to the original point. Deontay Johnson would be a very nice pickup. He is more of a slot guy, so I don't know what Jennings' status this week seems very doubtful, but
he would help them in the red zone because of that quickness that Greg referenced.
Sure. It'd be more of a Ray McLeod, like the best version of Ray McLeod, which would be kind of, and that certainly fits this kind
with
of
better
offense.
Hands. I mean,
no doubt, no. I'm just saying, like, if you're thinking about a stylistic comparison, you're not sticking him at X and expecting him to beat press man to man. But if you get him in the slot, if you go 4 wide, if you put him, if you have Jennings on the outside, or you put the nice part about Jennings is you can move them all around, because it's not like he's some burner here where you want to make sure you have space. Just put him in a spot. He's going to win. He's not going to win by a lot, but he'll win. And, even marginal victories are victories for him. So you can have Deontay Johnson in there as a real good third down threat. Again, I'll go to this. You do have Pearsall. Cowing is huge. And Cowing looked really good late in that game.
He did.
It's Cowing now or never. And this is exactly the circumstance that you brought in this guy to do. I know he's a 4th-round pick. I know that you shouldn't hold those high of expectations for him. I know we probably pumped him up a little bit more than he deserved to get pumped up. And clearly there was some stuff going on behind the scenes to where they didn't have full confidence in him. But the dude finds ways to get open. He's got a little magic to him. He's got a little bit of got a little road runner to him a bit, and he runs a couple of routes really clean every time. It's like Jennings if he was much smaller and much faster.
Well, but I mean, just don't forget who he is. He can do things that the other guys can't.
Right.
They can do things that he can't.
Right.
Don't use Cowing within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage on any kind of end around or anything like that. He is too small. Use him down the field and only really subject him to hits from corners and safeties down the field. Do not allow him to get hit by linebackers and defensive linemen hustling back down. He's a down the field separator. Use him to separate down the field, not within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. I mean, I get
if you can isolate him on one side of a formation.
They got to use all their receivers the same damn way, which is, all this stuff around the line of scrimmage. Don't use this guy around the line of scrimmage, because when you lose him, you can't replicate what he can do down the field. So respect that and don't put him in harm's way. Throw him the ball, let him separate down the field and throw it to him downfield.
The nice part about Deontay Johnson comparatively is that you can move him all over the field. But I think, Greg Cosell, as he is so wont to do, makes a really good point. Deontay Johnson's coming from Pittsburgh. They don't run anything like the 49ers run in Pittsburgh. I don't know what they were running for several years there, to be honest, with Matt Canada as the offensive coordinator. I'm not sure what that offense was. Now he's with Dave Canales in Carolina. I know every team's running outside zone to a certain degree. That's not the Shanahan system. That's not the Kubiakian offense. And I know the Niners are less Kubiak than ever, but I don't, unlike with the guys in Cleveland where you go, oh, this is an easy shift because you're coming from Kevin Stefanski's offense, or I guess it's Ken Dorsey's now, or go down the line, Miami, Minnesota, Green Bay, all these other teams that run the same sort of stuff. This is not on the tree. This is not on the Shanahan coaching tree at any point. And I think that the install, even if Deontay Johnson is just a savant at football and can pick up things really easy, I think it'd be a real pain in the ass to get him in and up to speed. And they need him Sunday. So that might not be enough time.